All right, the most important thing in this problem, whether you feel like you understood it or not the first time around, is seeing that they want the problem to be undefined. What does that mean? That means that they want this entire denominator to equal 0 because anything divided by 0 is undefined. So we really want this to equal 0, that whole denominator there. Well, how can we do that? We have a complicated denominator there. Well, the book tells us that we could recognize that this is a perfect square. Honestly, not that obvious to me, but I do want to show you how it's done because it is actually really helpful to know. What we see is that we know it's a perfect square when we see, because we have an a term, a b term, and a c term here. Our a term here, x minus 5 squared, is definitely a perfect square because x minus 5 would be the square root of that. Very easy to see that. Then our c term, which is 4, would be 2. So if we combine those together, we realize that we have ourselves the beginnings of what can prove to be a perfect square, because if we are to square this, we would end up right back to ab plus c here, right? A plus b plus c. We'd end up right at this original equation. Well, this isn't even simplified yet. What we can see is that if we were to remove these parentheses here, we have x minus 5 plus 2, which means that x minus 3 squared equals 0. Is going to be the problem that sets us up for success. We square root both sides. This just square root of 0 is just 0. Then you just have x minus 3 equals 0. And then now x equals 3. Now you want to be careful with your negatives and such, but remember, because this is free response, unless they tell you that the answer is negative, and then that's going to be somehow put into the description, you know your answer has to be positive because there's no negative option for you to put in on the SAT grid-in response. Now, how did I go about solving this? Well, I actually didn't see that right away. So maybe some of you would be more comfortable going about it this way, which is just expanding this. Let's go ahead and FOIL everything out and then go from there. If I square x minus 5, what I end up with is x squared minus 10x plus 25. Then this here just becomes added on to it at 4x minus 20. And then you just have your last term there plus 4. Now, at this point, what we can do is just start combining all our like terms. And ultimately, what we end up with is x squared minus 6x plus 9. Now, we want to factor 9. Oh, this is all equal to 0. Might as well set this one to give us some consistency. And we ask ourselves, what are factors of 9 that add up to negative 6? Well, that would be negative 3 and negative 3. And we can now rewrite our problem as x minus 3 equals 0. Some of you may just recognize that this is just x minus 3 squared is equal to 0. And then that's the same thing we just did earlier in the video. But let's say that's not so obvious to you. That's fine, because you can just divide 1x minus 3 to both sides, because these are being multiplied by each other. This is the opposite function. This cancels out. 0 divided by anything, doesn't matter, is just 0. And then now we can rewrite this as x minus 3 is equal to 0, and then x just equals 3, giving us our answer.